All right. Going live. You're live.
Hey y'all, I'm James Wright and welcome to the shop. Today I have my mother in the shop.
Hello.
It's been a while. And I also have my wife in the shop. I don't want to leave her out, so hi Sarah.
They're here for me. They're not here for you. So I don't know what you're... Come on.
So we're going to be working on a project that has been going for most of the year. In March of this year, we were working on building a set of boxes for my mother's coffee. And the day after we started doing that, everything went into lockdown and we weren't able to finish the project. And so we're calling this Pandora's Box. And hopefully today we'll finish it so Pandora's Box will be closed and this whole disaster of 2020 can be behind us.
Except for there are no lids on these boxes. So I'll just fill them with coffee. And then
James, check your mic.
What's that?
Oh,
Check your mic.
Is your mic working?
They're saying it's your mic, not my mic.
I'm not asking, is your mic working?
I'm assuming they just keep yelling James's mic.
Oh yeah, my mic's not plugged in. Look at that.
Hello.
Here, let me do this and plug this in. Sorry everybody, I plugged in the wrong cable.
Sir Alan of the Utah.
Sir Alan.
He's here for Myra. Mama Myra tonight. I just have to tell you. Okay.
Yeah, he's really good at sucking up.
He is. Really, you can change your loyalties. It's all right.
So
I don't know if that's good feature in a night to change loyalties and
there's no change in loyalty. I'm second to everything else. When Sarah's here, I'm second. When my mother's here, then I'm third. But that's the way things go. So sorry, we got the traditional mic faux pas out of the way. I have two cables that look identical, and I plugged one in without tracing where it went to. And oops. So tonight we're going to hopefully get finish on one of these boxes. So we have this one that we did the carving on last time and all of the joinery. This time we're going to do the glue up and then do the smoothing, trimming, and chamfering of it, making it look nice, and then hopefully putting a coat of boiled linseed oil on it. What else would we put on a box? So for the glue that we're doing this, I'm actually going to be using wood-weld plastic resin. This is one of my all-time favorite woods. If you haven't seen the wood tests that I've done, I did a link to those. They're down in the description below. But this came out basically the overall winner. But the one thing particular, the reason I'm using this is this was the best glue for endgraine. So if I'm gluing wood and doing a butt joint with endgraine, most glues don't hold very well to endgraine and it'll break off. This actually holds significantly well with an endgraine connection, so that's why we're going to be using it today. But the downside to it is you have to mix it. So it's not something you get in a squeeze bottle, so you actually have to weigh it out and mix it. So what we're going to do is, we're going to put it in this cup. And so we are going to tear it out to this cup, make it 0. Here, let me turn this on so you guys can see what we are mixing. And we're going to be doing 2 sets. So every time, I don't use this very often because I have to mix it. But whenever I do, I actually have to go back and look at the label because it says, and it gives you different mixtures for different temperatures. No, those are times. Gives you, there are different mixtures for weight or by volume. So I do it by weight. So by weight, it is 5 parts powder to 3 parts water. So I try and hit 5 grams, but usually I end up going to 6 grams, and that means then I have to go up to 10 grams. So we're going to try and do this.
they have things called like spoons you could use.
They do.
Really not gonna...
See, look at that, 6 grams.
Oh,
They can't see it. It's too fuzzy.
yeah, it's
5.
5, 6.
That's close enough. I'm just going to give it a hair over.
You don't have any hair.
So then we need 3 parts water. So it's like a half a teaspoon of water. You want to try it?
We don't have a half a teaspoon. Okay, a half a teaspoon, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I used to be a pamper chef consultant. You think that's a half?
Nope. Not quite registering it.
It's not registered.
Oh, we're getting feedback from your phone. I got it.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
4. Whoops, stop. It's only 3.
5. Oh, well.
5. All right, so there's 1 more ounce of. It's the way it goes. Ooh, that was too much.
Ooh, wow.
6,
7.
Okay, so we're going to put in 4 more ounces of this now.
You know, never mind.
Yeah.
Alan super chatted, so we're gonna.
Oh yeah,
cut
what the?
So Alan said, "Kiss up fun." Sarah's hot cocoa / Myra's hot tea. Myra drinks coffee,
Yeah, she does
so
the
you
coffee
can
thing.
do.
Okay, there.
Oh, she's got a joke for you.
I have a joke.
Yes, we'll have the mom's, the grandma's joke.
Okay.
Mama's joke.
I'm a mom down here. I'm not a anyway,
I'll mix it
okay.
up later.
My husband laughed at this one, okay? I told my girlfriend that she drew her eyebrows too high. She looked surprised. Oh, come on. That was hilarious.
Oh, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was fun. I'll get better, I promise. No, I won't. That was my best one for tonight.
We'll set the standard high, and then.
So when you mix this up, it's a little bit watery.
Does this mean James has
But
twice
it dries
the
out pretty
chance
quickly.
of being in the dog?
So,
Yes.
don't worry about being watery. It's not thick like others, and I think that's why it works really well with endgrain. Is it kind of soaks into the grain a bit.
And it's gritty.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's set this aside.
Okay.
We can put both of those down and clear the space. Let's go back to this one. Now, anytime we do a glue up, tension. Let the drum roll begin because we're going to be doing the glue up. We're going to go through the whole thing and then put it in clamps and have fun with that. So we're going to start with the bottom and
The W.
the W board.
Not the M board. The
Um,
W board.
So bottom is away from us.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And we are going to then glue up this, and I will do this. So if you want brush, and I'll put a brush, and we can just put that in the middle.
So they're having a hard time hearing Mama.
Oh.
Oh, wait, yeah, well, she's got a...
Hello. Okay, I'll try to speak up.
Sorry, I don't have a third microphone.
All right. So on both sides.
Yep.
All
And
right.
coat it on heavy. Don't be stingy.
Okay. I am never stingy.
And try not to drip it in the groove.
Yes, sir. Good grief.
Any questions while I'm doing this?
They just want to know if you're going to be in the doghouse twice as much tonight.
Always.
Of course. That's the way it works. Get it in good on the end grain particularly.
Okay. And then the little.
Okay, so this is, I have the right and you have the left. So I have the right and that's the left. So then just put it on the end grain. Don't worry about putting it on the face. If
Okay,
you get
but-
some on the face, then
But
you have
on
the face.
that one.
Yep.
Okay.
It is nice doing a glue up with someone else.
Yeah. Time.
And you'll notice that it'll soak in, so you have to come back and put a second coat of glue on the end grain.
Yeah, but it's not PVA, so the timer isn't.
Yeah, this is a slightly slower glue. It takes overnight. It's not something you're going to pull out in 20 minutes.
And I've never seen one quite like this. It's different.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's good stuff.
Okay. All right. Well,
So-
I put a lot on the other
Good.
part. So.
So, hang
Now,
on.
before we do this bottom is warped because it's been
Right
dry
here.
for a while.
Seriously?
Oh, I didn't give the talk to the kids, did I?
Hey, babe.
Bye-bye.
Not right now, Mel.
Close
For
the
right
door,
now, I am
Melody.
cramming my mind.
So then put it on the groove and then slide it down.
Oh, okay.
Makes it a little bit easier to do it that way.
All right, so Alex wants to know, why are you using this particular glue?
It is best for in-grain glue up. If you went and saw my glue test, which I have a link to that down below,
Hold it.
this is the best glue for in-grain. And since we're basically doing butt joints, we're doing a rabbited butt joint, but all of the surfaces are in-grain to in-grain. And so this glue is fantastic for that.
Okay.
So now, we're going to put this here, and we're going to then glue
The top.
this side. So here, let's glue this. I'm going to move this aside so people can see. Any other questions? Because we're going to be at this for a little bit.
So Brian wanted to know if there was a bench update. Sadly, there is not.
No. We were going to do it, but this weekend was a very good, relaxing weekend.
It was chill. Well, except for the whole,
See, one of the
Sore muscle
problems that we
sweating.
have is the only time Sarah has is weekends. And I try to make sure that my weekends are family time rather than work. And so that means that I'm in a relaxed mood and Sarah needs me to be in a work mood. It just doesn't work right.
no, Sarah just
that
needs
one?
to know what steps
Yep.
she needs to do.
Yes.
And now.
For some reason, he doesn't want me unsupervised quite yet. Actually, I wouldn't know what I was doing yet. Just got to finish the bench so I can do projects on my own.
Yeah.
And anything that doesn't require resawing. It's highly overrated.
Yeah, I think so. That's when you come to our house and Dad will pull out the table saw for you. Sorry, I didn't say that, did I?
What happens at your house, Dave?
It is Grammy's house.
All right, set that down.
Okay.
Now, let's work this down into the groove. We're going to have a groovy good time here.
So they're concerned that it's not
There you go.
clamped down
It's
tight
not.
enough.
It's not. It's very, very
So.
loose right now.
Yeah, but
But that's why we have clamps. So we're going to rotate this, and it's going to be sloppy for a little bit.
especially because of the bow
Well,
in the bottom.
That we're gonna fix that here before we do that.
Okay.
Because what happens is this bottom bowed a bit, and so it's not wanting to fit in there. So before we move on, I'm going to bow this and slide it down just a little bit. There we go. And so now it's in the groove all the way around. We're in the groove. And so what we're going to use are shims for cauls. So we can put one on either side like this, and we'll put 2 clamps per side. So we'll start with this one. And can I have a call over here? Like a collar on line 3, please.
Here, another.
Here, I want to slide them off of so that they're just on the sideboard. And I'm not going to really clamp this down yet because we're going to squeeze it once it's squeezing from all sides. We don't want to squeeze one side in tightly so that we can't get the other one in. And I have a lot of questions about these clamps. They are old beam clamps, and I absolutely love these. Or if you're in England, they are cramps.
Cramps?
Yes, they call clamps cramps.
Right.
Something different here.
Oh dear, that one wasn't
That's fine.
down enough.
No, I just didn't squeeze it quite enough. You need a bit more, so I can pick it up with that in place.
Yep.
So pick it up and set it on those. That way we can put the other 2 on.
Okay.
That's what clamps.
really-
That's what clamps will be going this way for.
It's
So-
wonky.
Yes, it's going to be wonky.
Wonky like a donkey.
Okay. So like that. If you can just hold that one in place, and I'll grab one from the other end.
Here.
This is so much easier with someone else in the shop. What other questions we got while I'm throwing these on? Okay, another clamp.
Nada.
Nada. Whoo! Quiet time. Yeah, these, I would love to see some maker out there or some company out there make kits of these to sell. I would gladly advertise them and show people those kits because I love these clamps. They're not the best clamps in the world. They are not the strongest. They're not the easiest, but they are the most fun.
And why?
What?
What makes them fun?
Because they're fun.
Oh, okay.
Because they're complicated and unique and
So we're going to lay it down and try not to crush the electronics. And so now we're actually going to clamp across. We don't need cauls for this side because we're going to clamp across the clamps and actually clamp the clamps into place.
Okay.
And so this is often a sticking point for, let me set this camera up so you guys can see this angle a little bit better. Let's get this up. Up, there we go. Focus, can you hit 3? And is how do you get that other clamp in there? Well, this allows you to use the actual clamps as the cauls and squeeze it all down into
And
place.
you're squeezing on the metal of the clamp.
Well,
so
if
that-
it's in place there, yeah.
Okay. Did that get the bottom? Something?
What's that?
Did that get the bottom, the wonky bottom?
Yeah, we'll work on that in a moment. It's a little loose here. Because the bottom is a little bit smaller than the groove, just a hair. And we'll tighten these all up in a moment. Now we got to play the do-si-do. My shoes make noise. Okay, now let's put them on this side. Oop. Oh, that's why. I've got the... Okay, another one.
Another clamp.
Clamp, yes.
Okay.
Here, and you can see This
Yeah.
one,
See
the bottom is not in place here.
uh-huh.
Make sure this is actually transmitting. There we go. You can see the bottom is not in place here, so we've got to wiggle this down in to that groove. Actually, it is in the groove. And that one's in the groove. So when we squeeze this, it should slide in, but we're just going to keep an eye on that.
How do you open that? Oh, okay. There
Oh, you can. Well, this one's. What happens is on this side, you can tip this.
Yeah, I tipped the
And
other
it
one.
comes
but
out
I
that way.
put there we go. All right. Okay, and just for the record, I have the tools in my hand long before James's father did.
Can you hit 4 on that? Move these clamps actually out a little ways so I can eyeball that groove coming in.
So when you get a second, there's some questions.
Yeah, what you got?
Not for you.
Oh,
That's the way they go.
okay.
All right.
My
yours
gap
close
is getting, it looks really
Here.
good.
Why don't you move it off the gap a little bit so we can see.
There you go. Yeah, that drew it right in. Good, sucked it right up.
And so now that we get this squeezed up, you can go ahead and ask her. And then we can go through and clamp them all down on all 4 sides, making sure it's good and tight. And I'm just giving it about that much of a tweak. And that's the clamp. What's
All
the
right.
question?
So Alan wants to know where your guys' next missionary trip is. How's the Bible holding up and any more COVID effects?
Okay, next
I'm going to go behind you.
missionary trip is supposed to be Budapest, Hungary. We go back to Budapest all the time, but due to COVID, that's
Oh,
supposed
sorry.
to be in March.
Microphone's over here.
Oh,
Here.
but that's supposed to be in March.
They can't hear you just a
Like,
moment. You can hear
got
my
it
stomach
down
feels
my
like.
shirt. Okay, that's supposed to be in March to Budapest, but because of COVID, I don't think that's going to be. So that will be in the springtime in like.
Well, hang on, James Loyal. If we bring this mic down, can I give Mom mine?
No.
No, this is
No.
all right. We'll
All
we'll
right.
improvise. So that means Albania. We've never been there, and it'll look like about five months in Albania, and then straight to Germany. And yes, the Bible is holding up great. For those that you don't know, Alan rebound my Bible for me. Really cool, leather binding. I'm thrilled with it. And then what was and COVID effects? Not that I know of. But you'll have to ask my family if I've lost more hair or don't make any sense.
We don't talk about the missions.
No, that's always been a problem. I'm just going to put it here. Then we'll both share it. How's that?
Well,
No?
No.
No. Okay.
That runs into things.
Okay.
If I put it here and just
Here.
think
Just
about.
tape it to your head.
Well, and I just have to think about the cord
Doesn't
since it's
have
on the
any hair
outside.
there.
I know, just tape it.
So, in the magic of woodworking, look, you do want to leave it in the clamps overnight, but what we want to do is take it out of that and now clean it all up.
Can we show the imperfections?
What imperfections?
What
He's standing. No, never mind.
Oh, yes.
Okay, these were supposed to be W's, but instead my son wanted it to be Myra Wright. So it's an M.
One's an M, one's a W.
Yeah. It's just a good thing my initials worked that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
You're welcome.
what we want to do is plane the whole bottom and get it smooth. So there's glue that's squeezed out on the sides, and some of them aren't perfectly flush one way or the other. Okay, if anyone has a Google Home device, you might want to turn the sound down because I'm about to broadcast to my kids. Okay, Google, broadcast, kids, please get off of the wood floor. We're recording downstairs. Thank you. That's a lot nicer than the way I normally say it.
I was going to say.
So we're going to use some dogs and clamp
They
it
want to
up.
know if you're making a lid for the box.
Nope, no lid for the box.
Oh, we're not closing Pandora's.
We're not going to close Pandora's box.
We're filling it with coffee though, so that's better than putting a lid on.
Making Pandora hyper.
Oh no, it doesn't need to be hyper this year. No more hyper.
Okay, so I have here a 4.5, which is a wider plane. And I like this one for going around boxes because it's wider. It's a little bit more stable when I round a corner. it's easier to hold in place. The problem is it's heavier, and so here.
Yeah, I know. That's what I looked at when I saw it. So you're actually going around the corner?
Let me come over here behind you.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to start on one corner, and well, what we're going to do is we're going to look and see first off if any of the corners. I have the number 4 set up with an incredibly fine smoothing plane.
Okay.
Can you hit 3? And I want to see if any of the corners are higher. No, 3.
Oh, hit 3.
Yeah.
That's not a 3. But
I was like, what are you grabbing?
So 3. So 3. This corner, this board is slightly higher than this board. You can feel
Right,
that.
yeah.
So I'm going to start with this one,
that.
and I'm just going to plane this down until they're flush.
Like this one.
Now this plane is set up very heavy, so it's going to leave a very gunky finish. So I can actually start on this one, and when I come to a corner, I want to skew the plane at 45 degrees so that I'm starting on the next one at that angle, and then I'm rotating the plane as I get to the other end, and by the time I get to this corner, I'm skewed at 45 degrees that way. So now I'm going against the grain. I'm skewing 45 degrees here, and then coming back around.
And can
I'm
I
running
ask
out.
why you're doing that? Why are you doing the 45 on the corner?
Well, what happens is if I go straight across, then I'm going to be running cross grain on this.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And so if I go 45, then at least I'm mostly on both of them.
Okay.
And so now if you feel this, they're smooth-ish, but they're not clean. It's
Right.
still rough because I was taking off a lot with that. So now we can use this one.
Okay.
So do you want to?
I'll let you.
Okay. And this one's set up with a very, very fine blade. And for those of you following the plane iron test, this is a Lie-Nielsen iron. Why the Lie-Nielsen and not the PMV11? Because I had the Lie-Nielsen in stock and I don't have a PMV11 for this. And we're just going to go around 2 passes. Skewing 45 on each one. And just like that,
Oh, wow.
we got ourselves a smooth surface. So, normally I would say since it's right here, let's go ahead and chamfer these corners. However, we want to smooth out all the sides first.
Okay.
Because we're going to be taking off material this way, it's going to be eating into our chamfer.
Okay.
So how exactly do we hold this in place? Because we need to do, let's do the easy one first. We need to do this surface. So what I do is I put it here in my end vise, and I lift it up so it's a little bit higher than the surface, but it's still held in. Let me bring this around. Actually, we need it over here. Can you hit 3?
3?
And so now this, I'm still clamping this board.
Hang on.
What's
Can you
that?
see if you can refocus it just a smidge?
There, is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
So I'm still clamping this board. The problem is if I get out here and I push on this, the whole thing's going to slide down. So I want to plane from here in a little bit past halfway, and then I'll rotate the board around and plane from here in about halfway the other way.
Okay.
So
And you're using the light.
I'm using this one that's set up very, very fine.
Okay.
To
So
get
that
to
we're
adjust
not
this.
ruining the incredible carving.
Well, it's just, I don't want to take off much material on here. I just want to smooth it out.
Okay.
So any problems that we've introduced to the wood, we'll remove. So I'm just adjusting a little bit deeper until I get the shaving I want.
And you do this instead of just a card scraper?
I could use the card scraper, but with this wood, this is a little bit easier. This is soft enough that it's really hard with the card scraper. Okay. Soft wood is hard card scrapers, easy with planes.
Okay.
Hardwood is easy with card scrapers, hard with planes. So I'm just taking off. There's a bit of a belly here and a bit of a belly here. So I'm getting a lot of shaving here and a lot of shaving here, but it's going to take me a couple shavings to get down to getting a clean shaving there. There we go. So I've still got a little bit of junk here,
Yeah.
a little bit of junk there. So I'm going to do one more pass on this side. There, that got rid of that.
Good. One of the problems we had was because we did this in March, and I had the glue up of my carving on there, and it sat for months before I got to it, and so the paper and the glue just kind of were not fun.
Now this wood is straight enough that I can go, this is actually with the grain, the other direction was actually against the grain. So remember how horrible this wood feels.
It's like coconut, and now it's
Well,
like butter.
Well, one of the problems with this is that the grain on this area here, it's going this way, and this area here, it's going this way. So it doesn't matter which way you're going to be going against the grain.
But that brought up the,
Yeah,
there's gorgeousness underneath there. Okay.
So I'm trying to get it, because if you feel this area, it's smooth, and you move over, actually, it's all pretty smooth.
It's all pretty, really, yeah. I'm happy with that.
Just do one more.
And I'm picky.
There we go. Cool. Now we've got the problem of, let's flip it around. Here we've got end grain here. So if we plane off, we're going to be tearing out that end grain. So again, like we did on that side, we're going to clamp it in here and only go from the inside, from the outside in. Any questions, babe?
So Charles McBride wants to know what was your first name, but he wants Mama to answer.
What was his first name?
Nickname.
Oh, a bunch of them.
That's really hard.
Well, the very first.
His very first one.
Yeah.
Love buckets. I don't know why.
I've always lived up to
I thought it was the heart
because of
nostrils.
Oh, well, no, that wasn't a nickname. He was born on February 14th. And when he was little, his nostrils were shaped like hearts. So that was just a fun fact that you didn't really need to know about James. But he was Love Buckets. He was born on February 14th. Then he became Bobby Joe. And I have
no idea where that came
clue
from.
where either one of those came from, but he's still Bobby Joe to me. So, yeah. Now he's Sir James or
King James.
King. Oh, excuse me, King.
Come on.
He went from buckets to
King James. Nice.
Did you want to do this?
Sure, I'll try.
Yeah. So what we've got here is, let me move this camera over so you can see this a little better, is, oops, that one's this way.
And it's straight.
Well, what we want to do, because on this one, we've got this glue bubble here.
Yeah.
So hit that glue bubble first.
Okay.
So just come straight in from and that glue bubble. And hit it once or twice until that's in. Okay, now we got is, this is up a lot higher here.
It is.
And it's still a bit higher here. So what we want to do is we want to plane at 45 degrees here across, but we don't want to go all the way out. Now stop here.
Okay.
Otherwise we're going to blow out these fibers on this side. And then we want to turn around and do the same thing that direction.
Okay. So I just want to.
Yeah, so always be thinking about...
So on the end grain, could you have just used the card scraper for that little bit?
Card scraper is not really good for end grain. Here, right? Okay, now this is smooth all the way to about here. So we want to do this corner. Yeah, end grain and card scrapers can work on end grain, don't get me wrong. It's just more difficult. Planes are great for that. All hail King Love Bucket. Thanks, Tom.
Hey, he's super chat. I don't care what he calls you.
Yeah. What you can see here.
I can feel it.
Well, you can see that little bit of glue right there.
Yeah.
And that's just saying it's not quite there.
It's not quite.
Now the other thing is you're pushing into this.
Uh-huh.
So you just need to go a little ways. You can stop right about here. Or you could just go across the board. Well, keep it skewed, but move the plane across.
Oh, okay. Keep it skewed, but I don't know how to go.
There you go. You got it. There. Now it's all smoothed across.
Got it.
So now we got these marks,
Uh-huh.
but we want to come out here. So you're going to start one here and do a pass out. And when you get about halfway, you want to just lift the plane up.
Okay.
So just think about lifting it straight up when you get about halfway. So do we have a do you have a my joke?
Oh yes. Here, you can do this. So
Here.
now it's fun. Sorry.
Yeah, this wood is a lot of fun to plane. This is
is
Filipino mahogany.
And at first, I have to tell you, I was Not happy with my son.
It's a very open grain, and you have to obey the grain. So for carving, it can be wild.
It was nasty. Let's just put it that way. That way, we're not having a good close-up on the carving. Okay, I think that's beautiful on that side.
So just want to get rid of these diagonal marks here.
All right, let's see.
Oh, here. Come free. There you go.
Okay. I lost my job at the bank on my first day. Do you want to know why? A woman asked me to check her balance, and so I pushed her over. No? Not even a groan. Oh, man. Oh, man. I checked her balance. You don't? Okay, never mind.
I've used that one before.
You have used that one before. Oh, if you're not here for every single
But that means it's a good choice because I picked it.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, so now I have already smoothed out the top of this. Oops, I hit the wrong button, sorry. There we go. I smoothed out the top of this already. So we've gotten all 6 sides of this. If you really want to get picky inside, if there's any glue squeeze out, you can use a card scraper to get into the corners. But usually the inside of a box, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. For what I'm using it for, I'm not.
If you're worried about the inside of the box, plane it before you glue it together. Otherwise, it's the inside of a box. Can you grab me the wooden things there? No, the other wooden things. No, those other wooden things.
They're shims.
So now we're going to clamp it back up and chamfer this.
Champher. Woo, woo.
So now here's the thing: is we want to get the camera out of the way. Here, I'm going to show this side here so that people can see this. Can you hit 3? Is we have end grain here. So if I'm chamfering this way and I come out here, I'm going to blow out those fibers. So I'm going to chamfer halfway. We're going to do
like we did when we planked.
Yep.
Okay.
5 shapes. And because I kind of stopped at different points over here, I'm going to do the same thing this way, and I'll make up, because the chamfer is really light here and good and strong here.
Okay.
And so I'll make it up. And you hear it. Doesn't matter which way I'm going across the grain on this one. Actually, let me try this plane.
That's not much of a chamfer.
You want more?
I'd like a little bit more. I love it when it's chamfered.
Okay, let me make this a heavier cut. And we can get those curls. Feel this one. Like that, or one more?
One more.
You have a super chat when you get a
Oh yeah,
second.
what's that?
Tom West said, Philippine apple humma gumbo wood. What happened to white oak king love bucket?
He wanted to see how I could carve on this stuff.
Now, the Filipino mahogany is a great learning wood because it's soft. Can you hit 4? Because it's soft, it is very easy to work, but because it's very open-grained, you have to learn wood grain. And so it's relatively easy to work, but it is hard to get clean and smooth. And so it's a great learning wood. If you want to do this, and so on the outside edges, we can just go straight, but you're going to go this way because the grain
We
is
need a
running out
joke
that way.
first.
Oh, I have one.
Well, then I'll do this way here.
Okay. And you probably already told this one too.
We'll find out. Aaron's
here we
like,
go.
you tell better jokes. And I'm like, dude, I've said all these jokes.
Why do dads feel the need to tell such bad jokes? Any guesses?
They have to outdo their wives?
No. They just want to help you become grown up.
Oh,
Grown up. You know, when you have to explain it, it's just not working.
well, it's like, how do you know when a joke has become apparent?
It's grown up.
When it's full grown.
When it's,
Okay, you can do the block plane, do that side, and I'll do this side.
I'm going this way?
You want to go this way,
Yeah,
towards you.
so how am I going to do that? Oh, this
Just
way.
pull it, yep.
Huh.
Planes can be pulled or pushed.
No, and I'm just not good with that. Okay, just be frank. I'm not good at either of it, but sure. We'll
It's
just
always
stick with it.
easier when it's at your height, though, too.
Yes.
I'm just saying, when the
You
bench
need a
is the
bench in
appropriate
between Sarah's
height.
and mine.
Actually, this isn't that bad for height.
No,
It's
once-
just okay. This isn't bad.
Once you get the hang of it, it's just learning a different body movement.
but it's not nearly chamfered enough for my liking.
I think it's like 10 strokes or more.
Oh, well, do that big guy on it. They don't want to sit here all day and watch me try to do that. But
yeah, like with a saw, you want to learn being able to do it left-handed or right-handed. With a plane, you want to be able to push it or pull it.
And the same with carving tools too.
Because you never know which predicament you're going to find yourself in.
Now, see, the one good thing about chamfering this was we did have some blowout on a couple of the corners because of the wood grain, and it wasn't while we were doing this, but just in transporting the boxes, and that the chamfering took care of that.
Chamfer is great for that.
It's my thing. Yeah,
You want to do a side while I do a side?
sure.
That one, the grain should be going pretty straight. Any questions on?
This way.
Yeah.
Just a second.
Sometimes I always like to think, what kind of animals make these shop sounds?
All right.
I like that.
What's
I
that?
don't know if this is George or I'm gonna go with George Vargas. What is the best glue for really heavy wood?
The weight of the wood has basically nothing to do with the glue you choose. It's more or less the way you're gluing. So are you gluing long grain to long grain or long grain to end grain? Each one has differences. But I have an entire glue test where I test 62 different glues, so you can actually compare them and see which one will work better for yours. There's a link to that down in the description below if you want to see that.
Okay, what is going on here?
All right, skew the plane rather than going at 90 degrees. Turn it like this and come across like that.
Okay.
And that way, because you have these end grains coming out, when you skew it, you're actually cutting down the grain rather than cutting across it.
Okay. There's a little bit of a learning curve with that, but that makes sense. And boy, does that pulls so much better than the other way around. Okay, I'm happy with that.
Okay, let's do the outside corners. So on these, we only want to do the one that's clamped up. But for, actually let's do it this way, it'll make it a little easier. For these, we have, here, can you hit 3? There we go. For these ones, the grain is sticking out this way. So if I go across this way, I'm going to be shearing all those grains off. But I could just skew it at 45 degrees and then go across it. And that skewed angle is the exact same as if I were pushing it this way.
And that would be okay to do that
Yeah,
too?
because I'm pushing off. Right? The grain's sticking out like that, and I'm shaping it off this way.
Because that's how it would be easier for me to do it that way.
And so in this case, as long as I keep it at 45 degrees, I can get that chamfer. A little bit more in this corner. Just like that. You want to try? You want to try this side?
Does it matter?
Yeah, this one I've got a little bit of a chamfer on
I was
already.
gonna say, mhm.
So, yeah, 45 degrees, and then just pull it across. Here, what you're doing is you're 45 degrees here, and by the time you get to the other side, you're straight on. So you have a tendency to break off those fibers.
Okay, and now I can't feel
Here.
it. Oh, because it's way down
Here,
there.
rather than holding it like this, hold it like this.
Like
So
this.
pinch the sides.
Okay.
And that way you can see the mouth,
Ah, okay.
and you can see the bed and know where you're at.
I know exactly where I'm at.
There. Now you've gone pretty heavy there, but not as heavy on this side.
Okay, now who's the perfectionist? Better?
Nice. 2 more sides. Any questions?
Let's see. Woodwork Learner had asked,
What?
does this glue need less pressure than PVA?
Yes, and no. It needs less than PVA, but still more than you would want for epoxy. It is a you treat it more like an epoxy than you do a PVA. So in the manner of how it comes out, how its hardness, its brittleness, it's very, very similar to most epoxies. But you do need some clamping pressure to it. You just don't need the massive amounts you need with PVA. Actually, it says on the bottle how much it needs, but I don't remember. Nor do I ever measure the amount of pressure I put on a clamp or glue up. It's about that much.
Okay, one thing I've noticed,
What's that?
learning the 45-degree, holding a tool at a 45-degree angle, it's the same as when we sharpen the chisels. It's a repetitive motion where you have to learn to lock your arm at the right.
Yeah.
And it's
It's another skill. And that's the thing about hand tools over power tools, is that hand tools, the skill is in the using of the tool. Power tools, the skill is in the setup of the tool. And so it's more or less, power tools, it's the thought skill of how do I set this up and how do I tighten things down. Whereas hand tools, it is a muscle memory. So there's the box. Who's ready for the fun part?
Okay, I do have another question.
What's that?
If I wanted to chamfer the inside edges,
Okay.
is it possible to
Yes.
do the corner?
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, I just like to
So,
see how you do the corner.
We're going to do this, and I'm going to get the block plane as close as I can to the corners. Do you want about the same chamfer?
Okay. Yeah. And you don't have to do it all. I just wanted to know.
So we've got that, and then we use the real chisel, or the real plane.
Oh. Okay. See, now I'm going to enjoy.
And you
the
carve
inside
it.
Corners. Okay. That
And
makes
so you
me
can
happy.
pre-carve it. And so you just
Okay.
shape these down,
Guess what I'm gonna do?
and you carve the chamfer.
Okay, I like that very much. All right, I'm glad I asked that question.
Here, let me do this corner so people can see, because I don't think I showed that very well.
Push 3.
Yes. So you plane as close
Did
as I
you
can. I
just
got
tell
to
him to
about
push
here.
3?
And so when you plane with a chisel, you're just taking a deep cut. And so you want to try and take as thin a cut as you can and use the chisel to reference the back until you get close. So now I've chamfered to this corner, and I'll do the same thing this way. The challenge is not taking off too much.
Right.
Otherwise you start splitting things out. Because there's no mouth to protect
I like
it.
that idea. That's cool. Okay. See, that
Just a little
makes
detail
me happy.
that you cannot do that with power tools. Well, you can, but it's difficult. It's very, very difficult to get an inside corner.
And I would use my knife on the end of that.
Yeah.
Just so. Oh, see, that's gorgeous. I don't know if you can see it, but that's just beautiful.
So, one of the nice things about a boiled linseed oil finish is we can finish it, put the boiled linseed oil on, come back and chamfer it, and put some more boiled linseed oil, and it's perfectly fine. You can see the difference.
Okay, good.
So let's
And
try
The
this.
other good thing is you get to do it with your hands.
Yes. The jar of the homemade stuff.
It's the recipe.
Wright's original. So here.
Oh, okay. So Alan had asked what would be the official ale of the kingdom.
Oh,
And
yeah, we
originally
set the
I said
camera
root beer from Sprecher's, but I think I should change it to BLO.
Okay, this is what
Here, just saying. Let them see. If you have a dry hand, can you hit 3?
Well, looking at the 3 button, it doesn't take a drag.
No.
Just saying.
There we go.
Oh, this is pretty. Okay, here. Let's pour.
And this Filipino mahogany is one of my favorites
Look
to
at
bring out
this.
because
Isn't
you
it
see such a grain structure that comes out, and the lights and darks really pop. Oh yeah. And so for the finish, I'm going to put on as much as it'll take, and then you're dragging your sleeve.
It's okay.
I have a few shirts that smell really good. Here. And just leave it on thick, and then come back and wipe it off a little later. And so I'll put on 3 or 4 coats and let it just soak in as much as it wants. and then wipe it off. And I don't let it dry in between coats. I just put it on, let it soak on, wipe it off. And then I'll come back after that has been on, sometimes as little as 15 minutes, sometimes I'll wait a while, and then I'll put paste wax on, and I'll rub that into the surface and let it take that up.
Now, if I were to chamfer the other corners, would I wait on the paste wax?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
Is that another super chat?
It is. Tom West says, yells through the huge white oak hall with all knights' weapons raised. Let the BLO cleanse begin. Or cleanse us, but I put begin. All right, I don't remember if I said this joke
King
before.
Love Buckets approves of that one.
We
Can
bathe in the
you hit
stuff.
4?
Should ask him about the time he ate an entire bag of flaxseed.
Oh, the times, how long it took me to figure out what was causing the problems. When we got married, we were incredibly poor. Someone gave us this massive box of flax snacks.
Oh, dear.
And it was probably like 30 pounds of flax snacks. It was a brand company called Flax Snacks. And they made these, they were really good tasting like oatmeal snacks, but made with flax. And so I took an entire bag with me to lunch every day, and I ate that for lunch. Because I was poor. I didn't have any money, and I had lots of this on hand. And every day at the exact same time, I had to stop and run. I mean, really run. And I couldn't figure out what was causing because every day at the same time.
I didn't say he was smart all his life.
Until one day I was like, wait a second. Flax snacks.
I'm like, oh. But okay.
Yes.
Both of my boys have done that at one point in their life. But Jason was a lot younger.
Yeah, we're getting to the corners.
And they're all very good at changing topics because their fathers.
Have you noticed how tall SUVs are getting?
Anyway.
I love it. I love it.
All right, so we still, I don't know, do we still need a dad or a mom joke
yes,
after that
we need a
story?
mom
That
joke.
story was pretty good.
What? A what?
Oh, yeah,
We had
it
a
is
super
pretty
chat, so I said I don't know if we need a mom joke after that story.
Well, you'll have to do them. I only found 3. Sorry.
All right, what did the pirate say when he turned 80?
80?
Oh, man, it's right there. I can't quite get it. What is it?
Aye, matey.
I was thinking arg, matey.
Arg.
But that just didn't come out right.
It's a good thing that this is the only time I wear this plaid shirt. It will now be my
Your Wood by
BLO
Wright
shirt.
uniform. So what other questions we got? We're about done with this.
Let's see.
So if anyone has any questions, throw them in the chat now. We'll get to as many as we can tonight.
Okay,
If you want to ask questions to my mother about me, you can try.
Shush.
I might have technical difficulties.
Yeah. I'll just keep pushing 3.
One or two, which is better?
That is good. So let that sit for a while until it soaks in
That's
more and brings that color out.
beautiful.
Here, can't 3.
That is so pretty. Yeah, my coffee will be happy.
Okay, Aaron, let me grab some rags for you. You can hit 4 again. What do we got, babe?
So now they're drinking BLO, and now that it will lead to the porcelain wars. But anyways, so questions. I'm gonna start with on-topic ones first.
Okay.
Dennis Meko asked, not Dennis. That one coming back to yours, Dennis. Aaron Fenn asked, why not chamfer or did you chamfer the end grain so that you can go the whole distance?
Yeah, we chamfered everything.
Yeah, we chamfered all the way around.
Okay. I was trying to keep track. This question's from a while ago. And then Tom Leurquin asked, could you use a card scraper for the inside chamfer?
You could. Card scrapers aren't great for chamfers. They don't do very well on fine areas, small points. They do great on surfaces or rounded surfaces, but anytime you go on a corner, they tend to mess things up.
And that takes away the fun of chiseling.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, once you learn to carve, you suddenly realize that everything is carving. It's just sometimes you do it with a jig. And there are weird corners that you can get into with a chisel really easily if you've mastered that control of the chisel. And it's a very fun step to do too.
All right, now I have slightly off-topic questions.
Now when you rags,
Yeah.
just lay it out flat.
Okay.
Don't wad it up.
Because it's BLO.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Any oil will polymerize and catch fire if you wad it up and shove it in a corner or a trash can.
Okay.
Are you ready for?
Yes.
Okay, so Dennis Meko asks, where do you get a blade screw for thicker blades? My original Stanley screws are not long enough.
A blade screw. Oh, I'm assuming you're talking about the screw that goes through the cap iron and into the chip breaker. Here. So if you're talking about this screw that goes through, for the old Stanleys, that's a weird thread. It is a quarter 22, if I remember correctly, which doesn't exist anywhere, and they're very, very hard to come by. I actually have a tap and die so that I can make my own that are the old Stanley size. But actually finding them, I don't know of any. And that's one of the reasons why I don't like thick irons. I mean, in this I have a Lee Nielsen and a DMF chip breaker, so there's a lot of material there to hold it on. But yeah, those are hard to find. Now, if you're talking about the screw that holds the chip breaker on, which is inside here, this screw inside, usually what you do is you buy a new cap iron that's a thicker one, and it is big enough to hold those. So yes, using an old cap iron on a thick iron, you're rarely going to get that. I don't know of anyone particularly who sells a larger iron for that, a larger screw for that. But one of the things you can do is get a screw, but then it comes with a much longer shank. Mark it and cut it off. But yeah, I don't know of anyone who sells just the screw. I'm sure someone does, but I've never searched for that.
There's a market out there now, folks.
With hand tools, there are all sorts of weird niche markets. What's next?
Let's see. Alan Smith wants to know, when is the next Mrs. versus Mrs. Shakedown?
You have to come up with something new, though. So I don't know.
I gotta finish my bench so that we
Yeah.
can actually.
Yeah.
Ba-da-dun-dun-dun.
No.
Ba-da-ding-ding-ding-ding-ding-ding.
Just no.
You can run the chat and we can go.
Now that would be a good night. I didn't.
Half the questions would be read incorrectly.
Yeah, well, yeah. Spelling would
Is
be
that your shooting
off the
board?
table.
I just got this today. I traded one of the fans here on the channel. I don't know if he wants to be named or not, so I'm not going to.
The knight who shall not be named.
But I traded him a pile of tools and a little bit of cash on top of it to get this. This is a Stanley 51. This is a shooting board plane, and so it actually will sit in the groove of the shooting board, and the iron is even skewed, so you get a slightly lower angle cut, which is just really, really cool. Yeah, this is very, very happy. But this is now the most expensive plane I have in my shop by a long shot. This is more expensive than a Stanley 55 in the box with all the parts.
More expensive than a number one.
Not more expensive than number one, but I don't have a
you
number one
don't
in my
have
shop.
it,
I
yeah.
shipped it back this week, so it's not in my shop right now. Actually, this is worth more than my Barnes number 5 lathe.
And you'll probably use it more.
Well, I don't know. In its current condition, with the restoration I did on it, they're probably about equal. So it's a good plane. So I've been wanting this for a long time. So thank you.
You are not number one here tonight. And I am not number 2. You're way down the list.
So someday I'm going to get the Stanley shooting board, because they actually made a steel cast iron shooting board that this fits into. But that is, yeah, the shooting board and this combined, I've seen them go for as much as $2,000. So that would be a nice one. I'd love to get the shooting board, but
I'd love to go Hawaii.
das is true.
Just saying.
So if anyone has one and wants to trade for other planes in my shop, let me know. I'm willing to deal.
We'll make a deal.
The wall will be empty, and he'll just have
A number
couple that are
one.
precious.
Well, all you really need is what, a 4 or 5, a. You really just need a chisel. Come on.
Chisel is not. The chisel. This little guy is.
See, I'm going to get my knuckle block plane restored, and you'll like that one.
I like the little ones. That's why when you had the number 1, it was like, oh.
Well, if I had a number 2 that actually worked, you would like this one. Here, feel that.
Yeah.
That's your size.
That one's my
Here,
size.
but the index finger goes out. There you go.
This one goes out?
Yes.
I don't think so.
It's like T where you hold the pinky out, but it's the index finger.
Why?
Because you point where you're going. It's the exact same with saws. When you hold them, the index finger goes out.
Well, that makes sense.
Gives you control.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can see.
Just leave it down. Yeah, this one's broken, doesn't work. So if anyone has a 602, that one's on my list someday. That's
No
actually
shame.
pretty close to the value of this, though.
So you're not trading that one.
What's next?
Oh, let's see. Harold Golden asks, how long would you let the BLO dry before putting food in the box?
Until it's dry to the touch. Yeah, the homemade stuff, I have literally drunk that before. It comes out the other end really quickly.
Why he has problems.
But it's
flaxseed, only faster.
yeah, there's no food problem to that. Now, if you're buying store-bought BLO, I wouldn't do that. There's dryers in there that you don't want to eat.
But that soaks in really fairly quickly.
Yeah.
So
Unless you have open endgrain. Open endgrain may take 4 or 5 coats. Whereas this, I'll probably do one more coat a little later and let it soak in a little bit more. And then hit with paste wax later.
Question on the paste wax with the carving. Does that get into the carving?
Yeah, when I'm around the carving, I just stop shy of it.
Okay. So you don't do it.
I don't do it into the carving because it gets in there and it's hard. You have to kind of pick it out.
Yeah.
I mean, it isn't bad. You can either spend more time scrubbing it out, and the rag will eventually wipe it out of there. Okay. But I mean, there really isn't any reason to paste wax. You're not going to see much of a difference sheen-wise from just BLO and BLO and paste wax.
Because it's all a rubbed finish.
Mm-hmm.
So David Peckham asked, can you show how to set the plane iron? He asked that a while ago.
Set the plane iron?
When you were taking the iron out for whose question? When Dennis was asking about the screw. So I don't...
Well, normally I have it set wherever it was last at because you have the depth adjuster knob. Actually, let me bring this down so you can see this a little bit better. Okay, there we go. So the depth adjuster comes out here, and so I leave that wherever it's at because when you're planing, the iron wants to get pushed up the plane, and so that depth adjuster is there holding it, so the depth adjuster is pushing the iron down. So I'll put it in and set on the depth adjuster, and I'll just raise it up until it hits it. So there's a little bit of slop up and down, and so I just push it up until it's pushed up against that, hold it up, so my fingers here are still holding it up until this locks down. And now I know it's its farthest extent up. However, if that isn't in the right place, the blade may be sticking out one way or the other. Usually what I'm going to do, the other way, is I will start with the blade backed out so I can't feel it underneath. And then I will push it through until it's the depth I'm looking for. Some people like to start with it sticking out and then back it up to the depth, but I'd rather have it back out so I'm not taking any shavings at all. Thor, the god of thunder, is upstairs. So I like it backed up so I'm not taking any shavings at all. That way I can give it a slight turn forward, and also the yoke is then pushing forward on it. And I'll just do it until I'm getting the shaving I'm looking for. So I'll slightly adjust it and push it, slightly adjust it and push it. But, yeah. if you want to see that, I have several videos on how to set up a smoothing plane, and I'll go into that a little more in detail. What's next? Or I guess it's 9 o'clock. Do we have any pertinent
We
questions?
have 2 more questions.
Okay, we'll do
And
those.
then we'll, yeah. So Dennis Meko asked, talking about your shooting board plane, will that blade be sharpened at the same angle as a regular plane?
Yes, I mean this. One of the nice things about this is it's actually a regular plane. So it's a straight plane blade. It's actually the same size as a 6, I think it is. Or is it the 8? Yeah, the 6. It's the same size as a 5.5 or a 6 or a 7. But it's set up to go in there, so you get a skewed cut, but it is not a skewed iron, which is kind of nice. It makes it easier for sharpening. So yeah, it goes in the exact same way. I'll pull it up against the depth adjuster, slide it in. Is that screw? Oh, I must bump it.
Arthur did not get the answer he wanted.
Something's not set. All right, the depth adjuster's not in there. That's why. The lateral adjuster, I mean.
You know how we've talked about doing like a tool off or a woodworking off competition thing? Mm-hmm. And one of the things should be like, how fast can you take apart a plane and put it back together? we have ideas, folks. We have ideas.
There used to be, at Woodworking in America, it was a show that used to be, and they stopped 3 or 4 years ago. They used to do the Wood Olympics, which was all hand tool Olympics. So they would do, you had a 3-foot long board that you had to rip a 3/4 inch stripe off and then plane it 90 degrees to the side and joint it. And so the record was for the 3-foot board, it was like 1 minute and 10 seconds to rip it and then plane it, and you would hit the button to stop it. And so then they would come in and test it, and for every playing card they could fit in was a point off. And so it was, there was that, and there were like 7 or 8 other skills, ripping and cross-cutting and jointing and things like that were kind of cool.
So you could start it back up.
Yeah.
Wood by Wright version.
Yeah.
All right, last question. So Jorge Vargas asked, in the video of the glue, you make all the tests on single type of wood. And he's read that in some types of woods, because of the natural oil in the wood, that those glues will not work well.
Yes. I did all of mine in maple, which is a closed grain wood, which is about the worst non-oily wood to glue together. It's a hard, sealed wood. But you do have some with oils, in which case you generally want to use binding agents rather than PVAs and things of that nature. So in that case, epoxies, the plastic resin, those do really well in oiled woods, whereas PVAs don't. That being said, I really have never run into a situation where I've had problems with oily woods breaking out as long as you clean them first. It's usually not something to worry about. But I mean, if I am doing something that's a strong oily wood like an ipe, then I probably would use epoxy anyways. Is that the last one?
That was the last one.
Cool. If I didn't get to your questions, feel free to send me a message and we'll do that. So thanks for coming.
Thanks for letting me come.
This was a fun one, and hopefully now that the box is done, we can be done with this last year.
I'm ready.
So I think that
both.
will do it for now. We'll see what next week's video holds. If you have any questions or ideas of what that should be, let me know. And until next time, have a wonderful day.
Hang it.
Oh, we're hanging.
All right, bye.